We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
The next stop is Mets Willets Point.
What up, what up, what up, what up? How we doing? How we doing? Queens Baseball, baby. Queens Baseball Live, episode 16. Not 15, so let me edit that shit on the Twitter streets. My bad. Damn, man, I didn't know we're on 16 already. My God. I had a little PTO last week. Okay. So first of all, let me say what's up to all my folks. Jay Fern was good. Swift. Ricky. I got Pablo from the beginning, which is crazy. We got a little Pablo experience going on here. We got Top. What up?
Back from PTO, baby. Let's do it.
Before I get yelled at by everyone, make sure you like, subscribe, send it to the group chats. Support is free, fellas and ladies and gentlemen. The Mets are not good. So I want to make sure that we get the posts of the fan base. And Randy and myself have been running a couple of spaces during the week, and we're catching some of the posts. But we got to make sure that energy comes here as well. And I'm going to start with this. Me and Swift, we had a little conversation about hashtag June 1st, and we're closer to June 1st and we're not. So there's two things about June 1st. One of them, we got to talk about that Nimmo and Marcus Semien trade. And number two, not that much to talk about. Can the Mets make it to 500 by June 1st? Kind of know the answer for number two. But number one, Mr. Swift, sir, are you ready to concede this trade, or do you want to give it another, I don't know. You want to do July 1st, August 1st, September 1st?
I think I want to do two things. I think one, I want to say that I'm fine admitting that Nimmo, that trade has proven to be in favor of the Rangers, but not in the crazy way that people are gonna run to, and obviously, because of course a lot of the things that are going back and forth, and every single time we see on the timeline, we see somebody else that's a Mets content creator or somebody that's very popular in the community is gonna post a stat, and we're gonna see a Pete Alonso home run on the timeline here and there from Met fans retweeting and then bringing up the whole discussion. And I think the conversation really started about like, yo, when are we going to stop? When's the cutoff date? Like, what's the deal? And that's kind of how it started and built into hashtag June 1st. But I will say the process, to me, the thing that I realized in going back, because at the time I said, nah, it's just like a wash. I didn't understand. To me, it was like Brandon Nimmo was kind of an interesting face of the team. I think I was. I'll speak for myself because I'm not going to speak for everybody else. I thought he was tied into the whole back locker room drama and things like that we had heard, and perhaps there were other things that we might not have heard, right? About whether Nimmo might have caused it. And I said, and I kind of referenced this article that he talked prior to last season, in where he kind of raised the idea of like, hey man, I should be captain too. Why is Lindor the only guy that's getting love for being captain? And I said maybe that's why Stearns felt the need, because the Nimmo trade, I think we can all agree, the Nimmo trade came out of nowhere. I think we were all shocked, like, wait, Nimmo's getting traded? Like we knew changes were going to happen, but I think Nimmo would have probably, if you would have asked anybody even before the season ended, we knew like major changes had to be made, but we didn't think it was going to be Brandon Nimmo that was going to be one of the changes, because to me, it didn't feel like, okay, what are you going to do? And then when you saw that you got Marcus Semien, who is also, I'll put it nicely, a distressed asset himself, you were just like, oh, we just trading a bad contract for a bad contract. But to me, I think it goes back to, I'm willing to concede that it was bad process by David Stearns. And I think that's the larger discussion that I think we're all going to get into. It's once again a miscalculation on David Stearns' part. about what is important. Are you making a change just to make a change? Just because you feel like you needed to do something? Like, because it didn't even feel like from the way that it was reported, and correct me, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, it didn't even feel like Nimmo was shopped. It was, he had a conversation with Chris Young and it just happened. That's how it was reported, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, that it just kind of happened. So to me, the process was lacking from a guy that we thought is very calculating in everything that he does. It just felt like an impulse move. So I'm willing to concede that it was bad process. I'm willing, but I'm not, am I like thinking that if we had Brandon Nimmo today, our record would be different? How much? By 2 games? Maybe by 2 games.
Well,
he's the bigger thing.
I mean, I like the way how do you say, you're bringing some different kind of point of view, and that's refreshing because we haven't heard that yet. But let's be real here. Okay, so this is Marcus Semien, right? 213 average, 571 OPS. Brandon Nimmo is 264, 763 OPS. Right now, you're making that trade.
Oh no.
Right.
But we don't live in a reality where we know exactly. Again, I will agree. I think when the trade was made and early on, because I'm never gonna be like I'm tied to everything that happens in April. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna just give up. But I think when we made the trade, I felt like there's more to this, because this doesn't. It felt weird. I don't know how you guys feel. You guys chime in. When the trade was announced, what was your initial reaction? Do y'all remember your initial reactions?
I think it was going to be a bad trade, and I hated it. I only started selling myself because the enthusiastic post free agency time of December to like freaking March got me excited about possible Kyle Tucker. But I fucking hated the deal. And then 2 weeks later, you throw in fucking a polio, fucking polo, and it makes it even worse. We never got Kyle Tucker, so that didn't happen. Bo Bichette, different conversation. You know what I'm saying? Bo Bichette, I'm gonna have a whole spiel about next week with my top 10 worst acquisition of the fucking of the offseason. But I think that Marcus Semien is the face of a disaster of 2026. He was the first move. And that 500 OPS and change ain't getting any better. The defense, good, right? Like, I'm not going to say it's great, but it's good. The glove is there. -2 errors, the glove is there, and that was in 1 game. The glove is there. So it's not fair to him that he has to take the burden of the entire offseason. But holy shit, bro. Like, we expected way more than you. We actually paid the Rangers $5 million for the pleasure of taking Brandon Nimmo. That shit doesn't make sense to you. Let me go top first, and then I'll go do a round table. Top. June 1st, number 1, the trade. Number 2, obviously not making it over 500. That was our hope. Anyway, that wasn't like, it wasn't a dream. It was a hope. So where we at with those two topics?
I mean, in terms of the trade, I understood why he did it. Sometimes when you make decisions, you just gotta take a L on the decisions that don't go right. I remember when the trade first happened and we were in the group chat, we all said, well, he got off that contract. He got a better defender at second base. Second base before Marcus Semien was coming in was always a question mark. Can we trust Beatty? Are we going to trust Ronnie Mauricio? Who can we bring in here if those 2 gentlemen are not going to be playing second base? So when they brought in a veteran presence like a Marcus Semien, and we were all going back to the fact that even on an injured year, he put up solid numbers. He was a captain. He's a World Series champion. There were so many things that we looked at that said, yo, this could work. It just has. Everybody in here has made decisions in their life, whether it's business decision, family decisions that don't always go right, and you got to take the L for it. And this is one of them. In terms of June 1st, I think that's self-explanatory. This team looks like they're dead in the water. they look like they just have no passion at times. I think they're set in stone and they understand where the season is, and that's okay, you know. And instead of trying to fight somebody and trying to prove different narratives wrong, I think we have to come to the realization that this roster construction is just not good. And you know, another thing within that is just the fact that they're playing in an environment that it's not a, you know, they're not taking no shit, you know. So when you're playing in front of fans that are holding you accountable and that are booing you left and right, that adds on, you know. You become what your environment is, what your surrounding is, and that's just what it is. So the reality is they're not going 500. They're not going to be 500 or over 500 by June 1st. And at the end of the day, that Marcus Semien trade looked good on paper, but it was an L in reality.
Is that Marcus Semien's numbers? Is that his base savant? Holy shit. That's just embarrassing, bro. I've never seen so much blue in my life. Bro, that shit is like winter, like February, early March, end of January in a cold ass day in fucking the city, man. That is crazy, yo. That is crazy, yo. That is wild. And I know this is like kind of like a might be redundant question, but I need to ask y'all though. So, Dayfern, trade and June 1st.
So I'm bringing a different perspective. For me, the trade when it happened, I was okay with it. The reason why, because I knew they was going to move Juan Soto left, and then we was going to get Carson Bench. If that's the case, I'd rather have that outfielder, Carson Bench, over Brandon Nimmo, and move Soto over to left, who's a way better player. But to me, Marcus Semien here wasn't the replacement of Brandon Nimmo. To me, it was more the replacement of what's his name, Jeff McNeil. Now, when you look at the numbers, he's batting .213. This is Marcus Semien with 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and his OPS is .571. But if you look at McNeil, yeah, the batting average is higher, but he has 2 home runs, 15 RBIs, 1 stolen base, and his OPS is .673. So in a sense, yeah, Marcus Semien is playing worse than Jeff McNeil, but I'd rather have him due to the fact that he has more home run power. He also can have anywhere between 10 and 15 stolen bases, so that helps in the running game, and his glove is way better. So as far as the trade, for me, if you guys look at it for Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien, then yes, that's an L. But for me, I don't look at it that way. The way I look at it is getting rid of Brandon Nimmo, bringing in Carson Bench, and then moving Juan Soto to the left. And then that shores up our defense, and then having Marcus Semien playing second base, who I think is a better second baseman than Jeff McNeil. So that's the way I look at it. Regardless of the fact, when you look at it, when you take all that away, and then you see the trade for contract, then we basically gave money away. I'm not sure why, but that's exactly what happened. Would I love to have Brandon Nimmo on this team? Of course, because I was a Brandon Nimmo fan. However, I just don't see what would be the difference if he was here. Like Swift said, maybe 2 games. As far as question number 2, at the 500, I was one of those guys who made the math and thought that we would be at 500. Unfortunately, we're not. So the team doesn't look like it is gonna crawl out of their own ass. So I don't know where it keeps going. If we're gonna ever get out of being under 500, but we'll see.
And my only like pushback to that is just that we didn't really have a DH, so he could have been the 4th outfielder DH. And I know the Rangers are using him as a right fielder because I know left is a little bit tougher there, but he's never really been a high OPS guy. I mean, one year he had 800, 2022. I think the next year he did have over 800. That was probably his best OPS, but he's never been like an 850, 875 OPS. He's always been like a 7-something OPS, and that's what he's doing this year. And we could have used that back. The funny part is that we would have started him off as the DH this year, right? But we would have probably ended up having him in the outfield anyway with all the injuries. So it was just weird. You paid the money. The conversation was you're saving 2 years of Nimmo, but then you're getting 3 years of Marcus Semien. So it's like you made the team worse, regardless of his 2 games. We say that now, 2 games difference, but let's say they get in a streak and they don't make it, and then those 2 games could have 2 games. That's 2 games is actually a lot, actually. Let's say he's a 2 game. You know what I'm saying if he's even worth the 2 games compared to things, that's actually a big number. If it's like a half a game, I understand, but it's like I don't know, man. It's just a little bit weird, man. So, Pablo, what you got, brother?
No, what I will say is, at the time when the trade happened, I wasn't, I was happy. I was like, you know what, Nimmo, bye-bye. Like, it's time for some new blood. It's time for some new blood. Let's get a new outfielder here. We got Carson Bench here. I was like, you know what? Bye-bye, Brandon Nimmo. Let's go Kyle Tucker. Let's go get him. And that's how I kind of looked at the trade. And that didn't happen. So Marcus Semien, he's just so ass. I just think offensively, he has been declining year by year by year. And it's a big issue with Marcus Semien. And I feel like what he's giving you, yes, he's giving you the good numbers with runners in scoring position. That's good. That's a good thing that he's contributing to the team, and obviously some of his defense as well. He's not playing the Gold Glove defense that we thought he was going to be playing. Actually, he's playing pretty okay defense, but not Gold Glove defense yet. So we haven't seen that this season. But we have seen some pretty good plays, and that's good. But overall, Marcus Semien offensively, other than the runners in scoring position numbers, has been dreadful. I mean, the OPS is horrible. And look, the average. Look what he's doing. Like, he doesn't add really much to this team. Offensively, we're striving for some runs, striving for some power, and he's not giving you much. He's not. And it's real a big problem with this team. And yes, you looked at it was contract for contract, right? Brandon Nimmo, the contract for Marcus Semien's contract. I was like, okay, let's work with it. But go get Kyle Tucker. Let's see what happens. No, it's like we didn't get Kyle Tucker. Yes, we got Bo Bichette, and Bo Bichette has been terrible. He has not been good. But Marcus Semien has been awful. So it sucks that you traded Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien, and we get it why he did it. We understand why he did it, but clearly it is not working out. And now you're kind of stuck like with Marcus Semien here. Like, you got years of him left. I think it's 2 years left. What are you gonna do here? I don't know. So I'm really concerned overall with this team in general, and Marcus Semien is a big concern for me.
Yeah, you've been calling it. I mean, it's and that was a part of me too, by the way. Like, because Nimmo would probably would have been one of the next jerseys I got. It was either Mark Ventos or Nimmo. It's funny, and I got Mark Ventos. I was wrong on both of them, I guess, right? But there was a little bit of like, when I started to get the anger, I mean, a little excitement because like you said, fresh blood. Maybe Marcus Semien bounces back, but holy shit, did not happen. But anyway, let me hear from Rick. Rick, so again, trade and June 1st, my brother. We got to call it with both. So
I'm surprised. I'm surprised y'all didn't talk about Marcus Semien's leadership, bro. Captain of the Rangers. We didn't. That was supposed to be a element that he was supposed to bring to this clubhouse. I'm saying that sarcastically.
All right,
that
hey,
was
listen, man.
He
He did a thing today with him and I think it was AJ Minter. So
it was
there.
It was the poker game that McNeil used to run. At least he's running a poker game.
There you go.
He can lead a poker game.
By the way, are we gonna Top already got the NBA Finals hat? Are we not gonna acknowledge
it's crazy, the money.
Where's do we got the we don't got the cha-ching sound. We gotta add that to the soundboard, bro. I'm on it. I'll add that because that's crazy, bro. That I'm trying to find a hat and it's sold out everywhere I look, bro.
I'm trying to get top one day, bro.
I do want to say I did use Rick Express card to get this hat, so I just want to say,
bro. Yeah. Luckily, anyways, I was gonna say my wallet story, but we'll be here till till for another couple hours. The Nimmo stuff. I'm actually kind of like tired of talking about it in a sense, because the reason why I say, because I agree with Swift and Jay Fern. I don't think we're a much better team with him, but and then also in my kind of off-season like plans, I know we did Pope. I don't know if you remember, but we had that space on Saturday where like a light bulb hit, and we said, "Oh, if we move Nimmo, it can open up a lot of things. Whether that's Soto moving to left field, whether that's getting another player in here." And I think we had that. Yeah, we talked about Buxton. We talked about a lot of guys, and then I think the following day Nimmo got traded. I think that Sunday or whenever it lined up, but it was like a day or two after we had that space. Like in my scenarios with Nimmo, like I was okay with trading him. I say this all the time. I was disgusted how last year ended, so I was open to anything and everything with this team. Obviously, it wasn't enough, and obviously the pieces that we brought in, after we made some subtractions, wasn't great. But I was open to trading him. I was just shocked it was for Marcus Semien. I always thought like in my head, like, yeah, I'm willing to eat 5-10 million. I know it's a 5-year deal, but I was thinking maybe like a young player. I think in my probably doesn't. I think in my like scenario, I had like the Mets trading for like a Heliot Ramos from the Giants, like a guy like that, like a young player, maybe like a mid-level prospect, nothing crazy. I guess depending on how much money we wanted to eat would factor in the prospect that we got back, a bullpen arm, something like that. I want to say there was somebody in the space that had mentioned Marcus Semien. Pope, I don't know if you remember who that was, but had mentioned like a Marcus
Wasn't
Semien.
that Kendrick? Was
it? Okay, it could have been. I don't know if it was Kendrick, but I know it was because we were talking about Corey Seager, and then
yes, it was Kendrick.
So
and right, Rick, we did mention that weekend, and we always thought it was going to be for something else. And I'm not saying we're and I'm not saying we're going to get so much better. Like it wasn't like we're going to get an all-star. We understand that a pitcher. Yeah. It was basically to make it, but also Rick, you forgot in one point that we said that weekend. It was because we were bringing Pete back, though.
Yes, Pete was a part of. I think that was
part of our scenario. Yeah, we'll let Nimmo go.
That was.
We're bringing Pete back, but we got Polo a week later or something.
Yeah, and again, the guys that we got to replace some of the subtractions that we made just haven't been good enough, right? So, like I said, I was open to the Nimmo thing. I love Brandon Nimmo, appreciate him. I said he comes back, I'll give him a standing ovation. But, when the Marcus Semien thing happened, I was surprised by it. I'm like, oh, damn, like, you know what I mean? Okay, 3 years, okay, a couple years short on the deal, making more money, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just, we had some infield prospects. I was like, I don't know if that's the guy I would have done it for, but again, it seems like to what Swift was speaking about earlier, David Stearns had a conversation during the winter meetings or whenever it was, and I think that's when things kind of sparked it. And yeah, man, not a fan. And Marcus Semien is not. I mean, he's been good defensively. What is he giving us in the leadership role? Like, this team is not playing well. So, and I want to be fair to him too, because it's a new team. He's probably trying to find his footing. Maybe he doesn't know when to kind of step in and stuff like that. But I mean, the numbers are there, the stats are there. Nimmo's, playing like we know he would play. He's putting up the numbers that he normally puts up. I saw a comment in the chat, if we get a Kyle Tucker, does it ease it a little bit? Does it make more sense? Yeah. Are we talking about it as much? Probably not. But yeah, man, it doesn't look good, and it goes to, again, what you guys were talking about earlier, the process and I'm questioning that, right? Yeah. Because, dude, there had to been, if you're willing to eat money, go out there and make a better move, man. Because again, it doesn't give you that roster flexibility that you desire. It kind of forced you to maybe move on from I don't know how Jet Williams is performing. I don't think he's doing that well, but you have a second baseman who, again, he's older, but you also have infield prospects that play that position. So again, just a lot of things, a lot of layers to it. Obviously the team is not performing well. So again, not to ramble, but I always thought the Nimmo thing, I was open to it, but I didn't think it was going to be for a contract to contract situation. I thought it would be, hey, we eat some money, maybe get a lower level prospect, young player, and call it a day.
But it's to what you just said, what you just said, Rick, like the contract to contract, I thought, again, that's part of the bad process. You are a high payroll team. The last
Yeah.
2 years of and shout out to the people who kind of put that on the timeline, and I kind of like it kind of made sense to me. You were concerned about the final 2 years where you're only paying Brandon Nimmo $20 million. You literally paid Starling Marte to shake ass for the last 2 years being a bench player for $20 million. Why was it a problem for a guy that was a lifelong Met, born and raised? You feel me? Like, and me, that was where you thought Brandon Nimmo, like, to me, it made it look like, because he was the first move, it made it look like Brandon Nimmo was a problem in that clubhouse. And I don't know that anything has come out yet, right? I'm not saying that it won't, and maybe something might come out, but it looks very slim that it'll come out, and that Brandon Nimmo was somehow a problem. And also the fact that Brandon Nimmo, when he started, and we've all, because Queens baseball, we watch all the games, right? We watch all the games, but we saw the evolution of Brandon Nimmo. He went from a guy that used to walk on base guy to a guy that hit 20 to 25 home runs. He did that shit on his own, right? He transformed into that player, right? A little bit, but his on-base percentage never really dramatically went down when he was hunting those home runs. He transformed into that player under the steady guidance. And I kind of like brought up this point last week, because when we talked about like, hey, what's the difference between why the Phillies are kind of like cruising and why, like all of a sudden they got a manager. I said the manager is a kind of symptom of a larger disease that the Mets have, right? You can change Carlos Mendoza, but where were we going to go? We were going to go with Kai Correa probably, right? He was going to be the guy that was going to, because you weren't getting a Buck Showalter in May. Sorry, guys. You weren't getting a Dusty Baker in May. You were getting somebody that was still within the organization, making decisions that were the same as it would have been if Carlos Mendoza. I mean, I don't know. Again, I might be wrong. Kai Correa might be the fucking best manager, and we just don't know. We're sitting on a lottery ticket. Who knows? But what I do know is that the way that we would have, the way that the Phillies are playing now is because they have a veteran-laden team. They didn't change 40% of the roster. They didn't turn over 40% of the roster. And part of the process that Stearns has bought into is these short-term contracts, because they're going to keep on, like every year, you're going to have like 30% of the roster turned over because you have guys on 2-year contracts, right? Next year, Polanco is going to be done after next year, right? You got a bunch of guys that are going to be done next year that were supposed to play significant roles. So again, the process to which Stearns is doing these moves didn't make sense. At the time, we were looking at Polanco. What position we paid him $20 million to be a DH, and then we found out he was a first baseman. Like, wait a minute, like what's going on? Like the process by which some of these decisions were being made. Again, Brandon Nimmo was a really good Met, right? I was shocked the day that he re-signed. I really thought my man was going to go back to Wyoming and he was just going to go as far away as possible. But somehow he signed with us. I mean, he signed with us on a great contract, but Brandon Nimmo re-signed with us. And to our credit, I don't think he felt like a guy that would have survived in New York, but he did, right? He smiled every day. He showed up, right? He showed up on some bad teams and he showed up on some good teams, right? You can't deny that. He was on a 100-win team. He was on a 90-loss team. You feel me? Like he's seen both sides of that. And so he was there along the way. There's something to that effect that I think David Stearns needs to understand, especially if you're going to talk about, okay, we're going to bring up your guys. That's fine. But if you got a career guy like Brandon Nimmo and you ship him off, you do create a certain energy in that locker room. You do kind of make it. And guys were on edge. And you see that in the way the guys are playing right now. There's a certain edge to them that doesn't scream like there's a group that's going to rally together because they haven't been around each other. A lot of these guys need name tags to figure out who these people are on this team. That doesn't see. So when you look at Philly, just to bring it back, you look at Philly and they changed into Don Mattingly. You're still got 7-8 guys in the everyday lineup that have been there for the last 4 or 5 years that know each other and can bond over that. So to me, that it goes back to the process. It goes back to how David Stearns kind of is engineering this team. That, to me, to go back to what Pope said, what's your biggest problem with this? I'm willing to concede that the process is messed up. I think that's where I've come to in terms of this whole argument.
Well, you said it yourself, process, right? It's like that term I keep saying, unfortunately, on politics, I keep saying short-term pain for long-term gain. Bullshit, right? Well, the same thing is what the Mets are doing. Like, oh, this is somehow going to help us, but let's dissect the contract real quick, right? And this is not, and again, we're talking about Marcus Semien. He's not the only problem, but this is start of the problem of the process. Like Swift was saying, the David Stearns vision, like our former colleague Randy was saying. Now we have Pablo, and I'm pretty sure that's not the same person at all. But that was vision, right? Vision, right? Well, how about this vision? $72 million are remaining in Marcus Semien's contract. It's 2020. I don't know where the rest is coming. I don't know if they're adding the $5 million to that, but let's say it is a 72, including the $5 million. You're saving $29 million from Brandon Nimmo. Aren't you the fucking Mets? And if it's worse than that, if you're adding the $5 million on top of that, you're only saving 20-something years, but you're saving years. So let's tell you, yo, we had a corpse in Marte. We were there for the vibes that was making the same thing Polio was making the last 2 years. What are we doing? You still got to give Marcus Semien roster, but they're not only give Marcus Semien roster, they give him a starting role, and he has played every single inning of every game this year with his let's see if it's updated now. 571 OPS. Mind you, he was hot for a couple of weeks. He just got cold again. That shit was 600.
To Starling Marte, to Marte's credit, he was pivotal in recruiting Soto to the Mets. So we got to give him that. That $20 million investment, baby. That was all worth it.
The move for obviously Brandon Nimmo getting traded, that was about run prevention. Run prevention. That's our favorite word. That's David Stearns' favorite word. And you moved Juan Soto from right field, he was terrible at. He was not good for the team defensively. So you moved him to left field. It made sense, right? It made sense. And you traded Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien. It's all about defense with this guy, David Stearns. It really is.
And to his credit, we're top 10 in defense, but we're top 5 in losses. How does that run prevention gives us more losses? So he has to figure that shit out, his run prevention bullshit. And he needs to stop saying that shit. Because it's going to piss off fucking Met fans, bro. Stop saying that bullshit. It didn't work so far. I don't want to forget. Top, can you go to the comments, bro? Because I know we didn't do that shit for a couple of weeks now. So let's go to the comments, yo.
Absolutely. Shout out to the 52 vibing out with us tonight. We appreciate it. Like we always say, make sure you guys subscribe.
Mez, what up?
Our YouTube channel. We got Mez in the building.
Let's go, Mez.
Mez, what's up?
Let's go, Mez.
He said Jay Firm was right, Mez was wrong. We got Diablita in the building. She said, "What up?
What up?
Yeah, we got Born Mets fan 86. The trade is slightly acceptable if they were able to sign Tucker."
Can I just say, Tucker hasn't been great. I mean,
I don't think he helps the team either. I don't think we're much better.
Mil. I mean, if we could get a side by side of Bichette and Tucker, I mean, Tucker's winning, but is it dramatic? Like, would the Dodgers pay $45 million for that?
Right.
I'm sure Tucker will be better by the end of the season.
Okay. I mean, we're saying that about what'd you call him, Pablo?
Bo Bichette.
Bo Bichette.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot that his name was Bo Bichette. I kept saying Bo Bichette so much that I got used to it, and then I didn't say Bo Bichette. I said Bo Bichette.
Yeah, and real quick, Kyle Tucker's not having a great year, but bro, 743 with a 245 average.
Yeah, I would take that.
Yeah, that'd be second. So we gotta, pump the brakes.
Yeah, we're all crack fiends. We'll basically take
that false. Like,
bro. Pope, especially when you look up and down the lineup and you put Soto to the side and you see OPS is can't even talk. OPS is starting with 500, 600. So. I would take 786 or whatever the hell it was.
And look, and I'm pretty sure he's hitting more. Look, it's not like he has 4 home runs, 26 RBI. We could go over all these numbers, though. The should have, could have, would have, whatever. I know that's gonna always happen, but we could do that all day. I think we'll dissect the offseason in pieces. I am gonna have a nice little list for y'all. Ricky, please help me out with this next week about one the offseason moves. I'm gonna try to. I know there's a lot of bad offseason moves, trades, and things, but I'm gonna try to give you 10 worst Mets right now and 10 pieces to trade. I will promise the Mets I will remove one of those 3 items from next week's topic if you go 4-2. If you go 4-2 the next 6, I swear I will remove one of those 3. But 2 of those are gonna be there for sure. State of the Mets. So the post of the Met fans, right? I think we kind of all went through that already. How we feel about the team right now. They're not good. We're not gonna lie to you that they're good. But there's always something positive to talk about, right? It has to be something, right? So I'm not gonna ask y'all how you feel about the team playing back, but what positive can y'all give me regarding the team right now? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go first. So because I'm not a fan of the guy who I'm about to talk about, right? So the Asian sensation, Canadian sensation, Jonathan gave you a decent outing, even though he walked 4. He looked better. I don't think I'm to the point where I don't think he needs an opener. So that's where I'm going to start up. That's probably the only positive thing. Juan Soto, my God, if Juan Soto was playing every day, that would have probably been. You're talking about 2 wins for Nimmo. That would have been like 5 more wins, 3 more wins. Who the fuck knows? He's so damn good. I'm not loving the Juan Soto hate because the team is bad. You know what I'm saying? That kind of shit bothers me because he's so fucking good. I think you're going to start seeing the real Juan Soto when the team is better. I wish he could pitch, guys. I wish he could start. I wish he could be a middle bullpen piece and a fucking closer and a center fielder and a first base and a catcher. I'm sorry, he can't do those things, but he could be Juan fucking Soto. So that's my 2 things. I don't know. How about we go to
I'll jump in real quick.
Yeah,
go ahead. Let me jump in real quick. I was gonna say, just to piggyback off that, just the young kids in general, Benj, AJ Ewing, seeing those guys play. Benj has been obviously turning a corner, so that's been, really nice to see. So, if you take any positives right now up until this point, is that the young guys, pitchers. I don't know if we're gonna talk about McLean, but a couple rough starts for him. But the young guys are playing right, and we're starting to see that next crop. Not the Wilpon 4, but that next crop of prospects kind of rising through our ranks. So for me, that's a positive that I'm taking, specifically Carson Benj. I mean, the kid is looking really, really good. He's gonna have his mishaps, he's gonna have his cold streaks, but he's been solid. So if you take anything, I guess you take that, the Benj and some of the young players in general.
So
I'm gonna have to piggyback off what Rick said. Just Carson Benj, just being able to utilize himself in that leadoff spot. Obviously he really hasn't been consistent. But I can't really put that as a negative on the kid when he's up here trying to learn and adapt as he goes. He's making better contact. His swing looks so much better. His bat speed looks so much better. And just being able to see the confidence on this kid just shows that the potential is there. And he's got so much to learn. Same thing with Ewing, right? Ewing being able to just hit line, trying to overswing and playing a remarkable defense at center field. Like you gotta give those 2 credit, because those are the spark plugs, right? When we took the series. When we were taking the series from when we took 2 out of 4 from Washington, right? We were expecting the kids to be the spark plug to get from that and go into Miami and try to take 2 out of 3 from Miami. So they're doing a pretty good job. It's everything around them that's tending to fail. And then obviously Juan Soto. Juan Soto, what he's doing right now is self-explanatory. The guy just continues to show why he's one of the best players in baseball right now. So just the kids and Juan Soto at this point.
Or Gayford, what about you, bro?
I'm a piggyback on top, man. For me, is the young core that we got. AJ Ewing, Carson Benj, Christian Scott looks good. Nolan McLean has some clunkers, but I mean, I feel like he still can be a top of the rotation. And then, of course, we're building around Juan Soto with that. So, like before, we were old, a lot of top heavy. I felt like we were paying older. I don't want to say older, but like we're getting to the veteran side, and the guys that we had before were getting a little older. Now I feel like we're more athletic, we're more versatile, in that sense, where guys can play different positions. We got fast guys like AJ Ewing in the minors last year stole 70 bags. Carson Bedge is found his I don't want to say calling, but it found like his thing. He's our leadoff hitter. He's been looking great. That's pretty much it. I mean, that we don't have much, man. But I mean, we gotta count, I guess, the little wins, I guess.
Amen to that shit, man. Pablo, what about you, brother? Give me a positive. I know you're a negative dude, but give me a positive.
I'm gonna say Jonah Tong. Jonah Tong has been positive. That's good to see. With
You said who? Pablo?
I said
somebody with your voice once told me that Jonah Tong needs to be okay. I'm not.
Jonah Tong he's one of the positives. I'm gonna say he's one of the positives. Obviously, Carson Benz and Ewing, AJ Ewing, but Juan Soto, I mean, hands down, what an amazing month he's having, and it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Like when Juan Soto does great, the team is like, it doesn't correlate. It's unbelievable. I don't know why. I hope one day they can figure it out. They could both be great at the same time. But man, but yeah, positives. It's the kids, and yeah, it's the kids, Juan Soto and the Jonah Tong, Christian Scott, those guys. But yeah,
it's for me. It's like, unfortunately, I know we're gonna have a segment with Swift. He usually gives us some updates on the minor leagues. In totality, though, the minor leagues have taken a step back. Last year, they could have gotten some stuff for the Tongs of the world, and they didn't do it. And I get it, man. Sometimes you want to just have a farm. Last year was the first year that we had a top-rated farm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't matter the ranking. It was a top 10 farm last year. And let's see where they're at in August when the new rankings come in. I think I'm super interested in that because some of the guys have taken a step back. So that's not great. I got to be honest. With in addition with a bad season. But speaking about kids, I was watching you guys live last week. You guys did a fantastic job. I was on PTO. Watch Queens baseball. We get a bunch of PTO. This is the best fucking. We don't get paid, but we get a bunch of PTO. So I'll be taking a lot of that shit in the future. If you know. Jay Fern, Swift, Top had a fantastic conversation. I have a follow-up for Jay Fern, though. He mentioned something that was super interesting to me because when he got into the conversation, and he just mentioned it before with Benj and AJ Ewing, there was a conversation of he's also not a prospect hugger, though. So I kind of want to dive a little bit deep into that. So my question to Jay Fern is, which prospect will you trade, and what is the caliber of player you're going after? Are we doing the whole, hey, I'm trading the farm for what's it called, a schoolboy, or is it an all-star? Is it somebody specific that you're looking for? And if you are doing that trade, which kid are you trying to trade, and what level? Where we at? Like where does it stop? Or what does it start?
All right. So I'm gonna put on my Charlie hat. If you know.
Yeah.
Because what I'm about to say, y'all probably gonna be like, what in the hell is this guy thinking? But just hear me out. That has nothing to do with this is probably never happened. It's just one of those things where after we had that conversation and you said you wanted me to dig in deep more and kind of elaborate because I felt like you felt like I left too much meat on the bone. Pause. So I'm like, all right. So I thought about it, and we've heard the names of as crazy from Yordan Alvarez to all the way to Rafael Devers and this and that. But I literally, after you asked me that, I did a shit ton of research, and I was just going through the possible scenarios of where the teams are at and all that. And I said, I would trade AJ Ewing if we was to get a superstar. Now, it was hard to think at first because it was like, okay, he hasn't built enough to create that, to get back a superstar. But you see the potential. You see the potential AJ Ewing where he can be an all-star center fielder. That's basically like where his ceiling is at. So I came up with a name. And he's going to if I was sitting down and I look at it now, this guy would AJ Ewing would headline the trade, and it's going to be for Gunnar Henderson. So everybody's like, what in the hell? Why would Baltimore trade Gunnar Henderson? They got the new management, the guys were spend. Okay, he's spending, but is he getting anything back from his spending? The Baltimore Orioles right now are out of contention. They don't look good. They have no pitching. So AJ Ewing would headline that trade package. So I was thinking the reason why I feel like this would work is because you have Adley Rutschman, possible extension, Jackson Holiday, possible extension, and then you have Gunnar Henderson. They're not going to pay all three. So I was like, okay, this is a long shot and all this other stuff, but this is where my thinking is going. We would probably have to empty the farm, but AJ Ewing, Jonathan, Ryan Clifford, and an MLB ready pitching that's ready would at least entertain that. And the reason why is because now we can figure it out, even if we have to eat money and send away. Because I at the end of the day, regardless of the fact, I really feel that Bo Bichette is going to opt out. He's going to probably take less, but it is what it is. We can slide him at third, and unfortunately,
he's going to opt in.
No, I think he's going to opt out. I think he's.
Really?
I don't think. Yeah, I don't. For me, Bo Bichette is just trying to figure it out, and I feel like New York is a market too big for him, and he's not. He's probably like, I don't think I'm going to succeed here, and he's gonna leave and go somewhere else, and then he's going to be Bo Bichette again.
To help your point, though, are you saying that the Orioles would do that this year because they're not doing great, but that's only 2 games back the wild card, the American League is, or are you talking more about an off-season trade? I know they're only 26-31. That's not fantastic, but they are only 2 games out. So is this more of an off-season trade for you?
So this would be it would be either in season or it would be at the end of the season because AJ Ewing, we have at the end of the year would be 5 years of control. We would have 3 years of control for Gunnar Henderson, so that where at least that entertains them, and then they're gonna get Jonathan, who also has a bunch of years of control. So now, like, basically, I'm trying to, I don't want to say convince the Orioles, but I'm also trying to say, hey, look, you guys you're getting 2-3 pieces of control, and we're gonna get 2 to 3 years of Gunnar Henderson. I mean, he's a Scott Boras client, so that we'll figure that out. But I right now, Gunnar Henderson, he's having an okay year. He had that really one good year, and then he's been, I don't want to say declining, but he hasn't been living up to the expectations that he had from that one good year. Appreciate you, Pablo, but he has 13 home runs. He's batting .218 and a 703 OPS. But
that's not killing.
Gunnar Henderson is special, and that kid can ball. And I feel like him coming to the New York Mets would be a game changer. So that's the only person I can really think of where I felt that
you're adding players, right? It's not just you. Right? Yeah, you're adding let's say like Tom, is that too much for you?
So no. So for me, what I was saying, it was AJ Ewing, Jonathan, Ryan Clifford, and MLB ready pitcher.
So that's 3 basically top 100 guys, and so it's not like so you know what I'm saying. This is not like a hey, we're fleecing them. At least it's a conversation. I'm not saying it's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
right, exactly. So,
Okay.
like, because I thought about other players, but I was just like, the only reason why I would want Gunner is because he's on the younger side.
Yeah.
So, and you could bring him here and say, look, give us 1 year of that year that you had when you had 30 something bombs, and we could talk about an extension. So
Yeah.
that's the only person where I was thinking of. I mean, obviously, I'm literally throwing out on my tinfoil hat and talking
That's not even
crazy
just a
here.
that's 3 top 100 guys.
But I think that was the only one for me that I went through like legit just about every roster, and this is the one guy where I was like, yo, this could actually work.
Yeah. All right. So we give a lot of shit to Black Charlie because he said some wild stuff. I don't think that was wild though. I don't think that was wearing your tin hat. That was actually an actual trade that makes sense for me. It makes more sense in the off season, but I get where you're coming from because I'm looking at the records right now. There's a bunch of teams there in the American League because they're not good. We belong in the American League, by the way. So we'll be in the running, I guess, if we win the American League. So they're the Orioles are 2 games out. The Twins, oh my God, the Twins guy are 1 game out. The Athletics who cooled off are half a game out, and then your 3 wild cards are the Yankees, White Sox, holy shit, and the Blue Jays. What the hell is going on in the American League? So that's not a crazy trade. I thought you were gonna give me something crazier, and I was gonna give you some pushback, but that's actually a trade that I can talk about.
But is Gunnar Henderson a superstar? I mean, he has potential to be a superstar, but he's not a superstar yet. So,
well, what do you think about the trade?
If you want to trade for a superstar right now, it would be a Ketel Marte.
Yeah, he's in the older side,
but he's on the older side, and I get that.
I think well, maybe you give up 2/3 of those pieces, but Marte is going to be an interesting conversation because we made ourselves. I mean, we started the show with Marcus Semien trade. We gave ourselves a problem there. Yo, dude, Marte is making, I think, like 20 or 30 more million than Semien is. So it's like, that's what messed you up.
Gunnar Henderson hit 17 home runs last year. He played in 154 games, and
Not a great year.
He had an average of 274. So this year he has 13 home runs. So he's on track to hit more home runs than this year. So maybe it'll be a better year for Gunnar Henderson. But yeah, it's he's exciting for sure. He's exciting.
Yeah. But that's an interesting thought.
That's the type of I think that's the type of trade though, Pope, that David Stearns is gonna have to figure out and pull out something like that somewhere. If you're gonna trade some prospects, I think you want to go like the younger route. You want to look for a player that maybe has a couple years of control, a Scott Boras Klein, where small market team may not be able to. They know they're not going to be able to pay up. So again, a lot of times those teams are going to want to hold those players a year before or off season before, or for the trade or up until the trade deadline, so they could get a better package. But I think with Jay Fern, like that pathway that Jay Fern is laying out with a young, controllable player, ideally a third baseman. But again, does Bo opt out? It's 45 million. It's 45 million. Whether he likes it here or not, that's tough. And also CBA stuff, we don't know what that's going to look like. I think he's going to opt in because he's not. But we'll see. But I think that pathway is how you have to do it. Try to find a young player that gives you some flexibility and gives you some athleticism.
I would be afraid to trade Jonah Tong right now. I really would be afraid to trade Jonah Tong because of the pitching, because I don't know how our pitching is going to be. I don't know how the future is for the pitching. Obviously, you got Nolan McLean, who you think is going to be a star, but look at the year that he's having this year. So there's no guarantee that Nolan McLean is going to be that guy, But Jonah Tong, you got Christian Scott, you got these guys. There's a lot of uncertainty with this pitching, and obviously him losing, David Stearns losing a Freddie Peralta or a Clay Holmes or both. So it's going to be very interesting for sure. Coming with the pitching overall, it's It's gonna
And,
be.
and we had conversations today with, I don't think you know him, with Randy, who opened up a space today. It's definitely not you at all. We had off-season conversations. I think we're going to continue those off-season conversations, bits and pieces on the live, because as the Mets hopefully do not keep losing, hopefully they start winning some damn games. But if they do keep losing, we're going to have those conversations. So that's an interesting trade. 3 top 100 guys or 3 top fringe top 100 guys. Possibly 2 top 50 guys. I think Ewing by August might get to the top 50. There was going to be new rankings out. We'll see about that. Or worst case scenario, he's a top 60 guy. Just onto basketball really quick. For the Knicks fan, let's go fucking Knicks, by the way. You guys all see us wearing Knicks jersey. Go fucking Knicks. It's the first time we're in the fucking chip in 29
7
years or so?
years.
27 years.
27.
I was 11 years old, bro.
Give you an update on the other teams that we're facing. The Spurs are up by 12, so that's interesting. So we might see a game 7 if it continues that way. So shout out to the Knicks and to the Knicks fans. If you are a Mets and Knicks fan, you're at least the other half has got you. At least we're gonna get you with the other stuff. But so if we're gonna actually let the talk about the kids, the minors at the end, because I do want to give some more bulk time to the collective bargaining, the CBA. This new tweet that we got. Rick, can you post that real quick when you get a chance? So
Yes, sir.
we talked about this in the offseason because we never thought it was going to happen, but because the major league, this is just my opinion, just because baseball already threw it out there might actually be a chance, and I don't think the players are going to want this, obviously, that there's going to be some kind of a salary cap. In the offseason, I said if there's ever going to be a salary cap, you're going to have a floor and a ceiling. The floor was about where I said 180, but 170, what was it there? It says it here 176 or something like that, or 170 and change. But the ceiling, I mean, the cap is 250 something. When Queens Baseball was talking about a floor and a cap, I said keep it at the coin tax. Let's be fair to the teams that want to spend the money. They're talking about what, 254, Rick? Where's it at? Or 250 and change? That makes no fucking sense. First of all, if you're a team like the Mets or the Dodgers or even the Yankees, you got 2, 3, 4 players that are making way too much money. We have Juan Soto making about 47, 48 AAV, and we still have Lindor making 32.5 AAV. How the hell are we gonna? So we're gonna spend 170 something on the rest of the team. So I guess my question is, I haven't heard from Top in a while. I'm gonna start with you, Top. Do you think it's gonna be a lockout? And if so, do you feel that the players are gonna agree to a fucking salary cap? Because I'm like confused about that.
I don't. You know what? To me, I've always said that it would be better if they agree to a floor instead of a hard salary cap, just because these players, you go from earning exactly what you think you deserve to all of a sudden you can only earn a certain amount, and it's kind of hard to just go back to that. There was a list that I saw earlier. I wish I would have saved it, where certain teams are gonna, certain teams like us, the Dodgers, and I forgot who else besides us, but they if they ever get to that hard salary cap, we're gonna have to offload some just to get back to that. And I think that's the part where it's kind of hard to adjust, and then having all that opportunity to spend as much as you can as a franchise, and all of a sudden you're gonna have to you have to put a cap on that. And I don't think the players appreciate that, and I think it's gonna be hard for them to kind of meet in the middle with that, unless the Players Association really just want to put a floor on it and kind of start somewhere. I think until they meet in that middle, I think there will be a lockout, and I think, I think it's going to be hard to really, really get to a point where the Players Association say, let's put a hard salary cap. I think that's going to be very hard for the Players Association to agree to.
Top, before Ricky and Jay Fern give their take on this, is there any more comments? I want to make sure we got all the comments. I know I saw Carlos here, right? Born Met fans say Ewing is 34. Tong is 36. Okay, so top 100. So this goes back to Jay Ferns. This is why I love the comments sometimes. So Ewing right now is 30, depending on what list you look at. Ewing is 34 and Tong is 36. So you're not just giving. This is why we have these conversations because, and look, Jay Fern likes Ewing. He doesn't know what Tong is yet, right? But he's an asset.
Right.
We're talking about 2 top 40 guys. So if we don't get at least a Gunner or somebody like that, we're not even having the conversation. Go ahead, Top. Who else? Who else?
No, I mean, and also G Money Stacks says this lockout's gonna hurt the players in baseball. He says he feels like it's on the snake by Rob Manfred. And then obviously gives us a shout out to subscribe to the Queens Baseball Live.
Appreciate you, G Money.
Shout out to G Money.
Always G Money, man. All right, so Ricky.
I just wanted to say to further point top thing, the thing we was talking about. So it was the Mets, the Dodgers, Yankees, Blue Jays, and Phillies who are over the 245, and then the current payrolls below the 171 is the Orioles, Mariners, Royals, Reds, Brewers, Rockies, Twins, Pirates, Rays, Cardinals, Athletics, Nationals, White Sox, Guardians, and Marlins at a whopping 78 million. Let's go Marlins.
And how many teams, Jay, from to your point, are under that 170, right? Like
I just read it. The under the 171.
That 10?
It
like
was
over 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So half the league is under 171.
And the last point I'll say on the Mets, 2027, if there's a team, if there's a season, 289 is our payroll. But then when you go to 2028, we're down to 203. So you know what I'm saying. So it's not terrible, but they have to work on things. But anyway, Ricky, and then back to Jay from.
Yeah, I'll make it super quick because I think also too for the teams that are over this proposed cap, I think there will be some time for them to kind of, I don't know what that'll be, a couple years for them to kind of get their situation fixed. Boys, we're gonna have a lockout. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, the last time a salary cap was proposed to the players union was in 1994. We know what happened.
Do you think we're gonna miss like a whole season, or do you think we're gonna have a lockout?
Bro, the players union is they're steadfast, man. They don't want a cap, and so how are they gonna budge? I love the salary floor. I was actually surprised that it was that high, like the salary floor. Like I think the salary cap number that they came up with needs to be higher, but the floor was high. Like, oh wow, like you guys said, it's like 10 to 12 teams that are under that threshold. So that's good for the league. I mean, we want to see these teams compete a little bit more. Some of these owners spend a little bit more. I'm okay. Listen, I'm okay with the cap. It sucks because now we have Steve Cohen, who his strength was to spend his money, and there seems like there's going to be some restraints. So we didn't really get a chance to take advantage of that. So it sucks, but listen, NBA it works with the NBA, works with football. These contracts, and I'm all for guys getting paid. I love baseball. These guys play 162, and I don't want to sound like I'm shaking ass for the owners, but I mean these contracts are getting crazy, bro. So something needs to be done. But again, if they're going to implement that salary cap, boys, we're not going to have baseball next year, and if we do, I mean, there's going to be a long delay. So I'm glad that they're throwing some of these fillers out now. This is negotiation. So again, these things are going to go back and forth. But yeah, man, the last time this was proposed, we didn't have baseball. So we'll see what happens.
And I know this like something that we never talk about, salary caps in baseball. But you don't think a $300 million salary, like if there's going to be a cap, don't you think 300 should that be the number or the? I think
it should be with. Honestly, to be fair, I think it should be based on like revenues and how, so whatever the math is. But I think, the first number that pops in my head is like 325 for me.
Okay, yeah.
So that's where I would go, and then obviously that number, because the NFL cap adjusts every year. So I forget what the calculation is for the NFL, but you do something like that. The revenue stream, you calculate it and you increase it as needed.
And in the NBA, there's a cap, but there's no like you have to spend 90% of your
Yes.
cap. If not, you're gonna get in trouble, and you have to make trades to do that. But anyway,
Yeah.
Let me hear from Swift when it comes to the CBA, and then I know you have some stuff on the minors, and then you could end it for at least for this week.
Yeah, man. To the larger point being that I do think that there is going to be a little bit of a negotiation going on from December 1st. Obviously, that's the date that the CBA expires. I think there's going to be some time. I think we're going to miss a little bit of the schedule is going to be off a little bit. Let's just put it that way, because every single day that means free agents can't sign. That means agents are going to be scrambling to find work. Then you have to think about spring training and then all of the other things, right? So, I mean, can you imagine it was this year and we had to worry about a World Baseball Classic? Could you just imagine the clusterfuck that it would have been this year? It would have been crazy. But I think ultimately what, again, I keep coming back to, okay, if the owners want a salary cap, the numbers that Jay Fern just read, there are 15 teams currently under the salary cap floor. You need to open up your books and tell us exactly where your revenues are. And that's a non-starter for the owners. So the owners are going to have to give a little bit to show, like, okay, are you really losing money? Because guess what, folks? These people became rich because they understood how to work the tax revenue system. They understood how to hide their money in ways and to show losses so that they could reap the benefits of that. This is not any different. They're all doing, and they're all doing the things that they need to do in order to create the reality that they're having financial difficulties in keeping up with the Dodgers. The other thing that I think is going to be interesting is the revenues that are tied. So in the NFL, they basically have to announce the salary cap, and that's based off of the previous year's revenues, projecting that helps you project this year's revenues, which helps them figure out a number. The NFL has just been increasing because, you know, the NFL's juggernaut. Now we hear there's going to be day before Thanksgiving games, and they're just taking over Wednesdays and Thursdays. And before you know it, you're going to have 7 days a week. You're just going to have a football game. They're just going to freaking take over every
And I'm
day.
good with that shit.
Okay.
Tuesday Night Football?
Tuesday Night Football? But again, with Major League Baseball, you've got the Yankees who have Yes Network. You've got the Dodgers on their own network. You've got so many of these, and we saw that where so many teams had to have Major League Baseball produce their own like stuff and create their own network, right? And create it under the MLB flag because they didn't have the revenue from that coming in, right? The Mets have SNY, but we all know it's owned by the Wilpons. Steve Cohen doesn't even benefit from that, so just keep that in mind, right? So when we think about it, how are they going to figure that out? How are they calculating that added revenue? Yes, the popularity of Major League Baseball has expanded, but has it expanded to a point where the players are going to be like, yeah, I want 50-50 of that? And is 50-50 split even worth it for the players? Are the players going to be like, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to guarantee us all of these. You're going to have to keep all the guaranteed contracts. You can't be like the NFL where partial guarantees. You're not going to do that, right? And then you get into the argument of, okay, how are we going to get the top 15 under that number? How are you going to legislate? How many years are you going to give the Dodgers and the Mets? Because you know what? Nobody, okay, like we might be able to, all right, I'll trade. If the Mets, you're going to want to get rid of Bo Bichette. Great. Who's going to take him at 45 next year? Somebody's, the Marlins suddenly going to take on 45 just to get over a cap? Maybe, but how many players are going to, why would they do that when Bo Bichette is struggling? So how are they going to do that? Are they going to have, like, you know how the NBA has bird rights where you have the ability to re-sign that player, right? They were talking about how they're going to work the 5-year minimums for young. There's so many aspects that hasn't been thought through by the owners where you can't just drop a whole new model on top. To me, the players have, they do have that leverage. The owners have to show the players that they are suffering under this. Bob Nutting, who owns the Pittsburgh Pirates, he's sitting on 2 lottery tickets. He's got Skeens and he's got Connor Griffin, and he's got a bunch of other really good players. They're performing really well. but he's telling everybody that he can't afford to pay these guys, so he has to trade
And
them.
he has the money. So
He has the money. He's a
and that's the thing.
billionaire.
Look, all these teams that you talked about, the list that J-Firm was talking about, they have most
They
of
have
those teams
money.
have
They
enough
all have
to
money.
get to 170, and they're getting. I
But
didn't want
that's the
to.
point. But that's the point. That to me, that's the point. The players, all they have to do is like, fine, Bob Nutting, you show me your books and you show me where you're suffering, and then we can have a discussion about how we can fix that. And
They
that's a
don't.
non-starter for
They-
these guys.
they're not
They
showing
don't
the
want to
books.
do that. They're
Like-
never going to want to do that, because then it would expose to the fans exactly what they know, that Bob Nutting is keeping the profits, putting them in his pocket, throwing it on a yacht, right? You know what I'm saying?
And then
Holes
he'll
on
trade
boats,
both teams to the
you know what I'm
Yankees.
saying? Holes on boats and just throwing it at them. You know, that's it. And that's a problem. And I think
Strippers and cocaine.
you know what I'm saying? And that's it. And those guys, they have a lot more to prove. I do want to say, because you know, you skipped the Indian guy in the last segment about what's positive about the Mets. Because you knew I was going to be Mr.
Oh
Positive.
yeah, I can't go to you. You're Mr. Positive.
I know.
What's
I
the
know.
point? Yeah, what's the point of that?
You did it on purpose. But I do want to
Absolutely.
say, on this day 2 years ago, we were 22-33.
I'm out, guys.
Today it's I knew that was going. You asked me to be positive. I'm telling you, I'm being positive.
That's being positive. You're right.
That's being positive. Basically, you have a chance. You have a chance at doing something this year, and then the thing is, you know, and we're gonna get into this because it's gonna be a nice segue. You're having a chance to see, right? I think a lot of us are good on. We came into the season being like, what's Beatty going to give us? What's Vientos going to give us? That's going to really go. And Alvarez, I think we have a lot more data on them. I think we've all come to the same conclusion on them, right? I think we're there on them, and so that to me has been valuable in the sense that there's going to be nobody crying if any of those guys get moved, right? I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh my God, or be shocked if any of those guys. So I think we got answers in terms of some of those guys, in terms of their talent. I'm enjoying seeing AJ healing. A lot of people said, people thought I was crazy when I said he's going to be up by around June. Man, I was wrong. I was wrong too. Damn, they brought him up in goddamn April and early May, right? I mean, you're seeing a youth movement, and I think that's really good. But also the pitching, I think Zach Thornton's going to be good. I think Christian Scott's going to be good. I think we have a lot of replacements for guys like David Peterson who have severely underimpressed, right? I think Brazo, somebody in the comments wrote Brazo bound. Shout out to him and that crazy contract. If you want to give David Stearns any credit, you got to give him. He identified. He's been incredible, right? So those are little positivo comments that I just wanted to drop. But going into our minor league segment, I just want
to before you start there, I just like I skipped you on my Indian brother, I skipped my Dominican brother too when it comes to the CBA. I didn't get Jay Fern's.
Damn, Jay Fern, what's up
on the CBA?
Yeah, so here's my take, and I'll be very quick. I promise. I think that I'm glad that they were able to talk about it now because they have until December 1st to finally figure this thing out. So we're May 28th. Yesterday, the Players Association said their piece, and now today, the owners said their piece. So here's where I'm at. I like the fact that there is going to be a salary cap. And I like the fact that they already came out with the numbers. So that's good. So now they can negotiate on that. And the reason why I think it's a positive is because, and where's my list? Okay, here it is. Damn, hold on, my bad. I had the list and then it went away. So I was getting to this because I wanted to talk a little bit about the Brewers, and the conversations we had about David Stearns. So the Brewers at 128 million, so they're below the 171. And the reason why I was saying this is because Pope, I don't remember when it was, but it was sometime on this live. David Stearns doesn't know how to spend properly. Mm-hmm. So I feel like now that he has a threshold where he a guideline is like, okay, now he can be smart with the money and not done with the money, because he knows how to get players
Under a certain
under
threshold.
yeah. So now it's like he has to literally do it, and I feel like we're finally gonna maybe get to see the
The
genius
real
of
David
his.
Stearns. The real
Right.
David Stearns.
Right, the real David Stearns. So I like that we're gonna get into that. I do have questions about it because Ricky made a good point. It's like, okay, so you're making this salary cap. Are we gonna, the teams that are over it, which is only the Mets, the Dodgers, Yankees, Blue Jays, Phillies, and Braves. So that's 6. Are you gonna give them time to get under? Or is it just going to be like, hey, in 2027, you have to figure this out, which is, I think it's unfair to those teams. So I like that the conversations have started. I like the floor and the ceiling, but I don't think there's going to be a lockout, because I feel like they've gotten to the numbers. So now they just have to meet in the middle and figure everything else out. So I feel like that's going to be the major thing, where they're going to get the payrolls of the floor and the ceiling. Once they figure that out, I feel like everything else will work itself out. So I don't think there's going to be a lockout. I'm praying for 2027 baseball, and I'm ready to get my heart broken again by the Mets.
Before Swift ends it with his beautiful report on the minors, which I always love. It looks like the Spurs are going to take it at Game 7, and for those folks that, like me, that were worrying about the Spurs, they look good today. So I'm just saying, let's see who the Knicks play. There's going to be obviously a Game 7. Go Knicks next Wednesday, by the way. We're gonna probably have I just think that we found the best topic the next couple of weeks, and this is whole CBA talk. I love this shit. So I think we might start with that next week and then go through Pope's weird ass list. But Swift, take it for us. I appreciate y'all. Who's baseball?
Swift, I do have a question for you though. Swift, I do have a question for you, and that is revolving on Zach Thornton. You said you think he's going to be good. What do you see in Zach Thornton that you think he's going to be good? What do you see that could be special? What do you see that could be really good? What makes him different?
Yeah, I think that first start, I think if you want to take positives out of that, right? That first start, he gives up 3 runs. I think one of them, he got some really bad defense behind him that I think there was a drop involved. And he did give up the 3 runs, but then he locked in for the next 3 innings. And he had his moments, right, where he kind of went back and forth, but I don't think we saw the command that we thought we were going to see. But you know what? If you can get a guy who can, and again, this is where the development happens, right? Christopher Sanchez threw a 92-mile-per-hour fastball when he started. 92, 93. Okay. As he got better, he's now sitting 96, 97. I'm not, and let me be clear, I am not suggesting that Zach Thornton is going to turn into our version of Christopher Sanchez. That would be great. But progress and seeing a young pitcher develop, that takes some time. And I think one of the things that people need to understand is that you need to put these guys in position and really treat that developmental line. It might not be a straight curve up. It might have a few moments, but if you stay and stick with these guys, I think you could see a lot of promise. I think there's enough in that repertoire where he shows control. I think it was a little bit of nerves. Obviously, his first start in the major leagues. I think he'll be fine. I think as time goes on.
And then the last question before this, the last, who do you think is going to be better out of the lefties? Jonathan Santucci or Zach Thornton?
I love power pitchers, right? I love power pitchers. So I think Santucci's a power pitcher. I think he's a guy that you can see from the way that he is, the way that he pitches when he's on. I mean, he's just going to be a guy that can strike out a lot of guys. There's a little bit of reliever risk in my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know. I'm not a pitching coach. But there is certainly a little bit of reliever risk. But I think I think Thornton, because of his command, his ability to use a lot of pitches, I don't think he shies away from contact. I think I like that mode, but give me the power pitcher any day. All right. And I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna be real quick. I know everybody says that, but I'm gonna be real quick. Two of the guys I want to highlight a couple of things. Hey man, Lucas Duda. I'm sorry, Ryan Clifford hit another home run today. So shout out to Ryan Clifford. He's not the guy that I wanted to highlight because Ryan Clifford is going to hit home runs, ladies and gentlemen. But again, I want to be very clear about this. I think he still does need some time in AAA. I don't think he has a position. I just don't think he has anywhere. He's just way too volatile to really see him come up. But at some point, the way this season is going, I don't think you'll lose anything by bringing him up at some point this year. So you might see that guy. A guy that you will see promoted, and you saw promoted, Stone Cold Channing Austin got promoted. I told y'all it was only a matter of time before you were not going to be able to see him in Brooklyn, and he's gotten his promotion. Shout out to Channing Austin. He's kind of the only real developmental story that's really going well in terms of pitching for the Mets this year. He's going to be pitching in Binghamton. I don't know that
he got injured today. He got injured
today. Oh,
yeah.
Man. All right. Never mind. No
he got injured warming up. So
you just got to laugh at this point. A guy that could be taking his spot in the Brooklyn rotation, Jose Chirinos. 6 innings pitched today, 3 hits, 0 earned, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. He's got a 2.36 ERA over 42 innings with 48 Ks this year. He's a guy that I would look to make get a promotion. He was the minor league pitcher of the week 2 weeks ago, so I think he's a guy that could certainly be looking at a promotion soon. Shout out to the Bronx's own Chris Suero. Shout out to him. He had a 4 stolen base game today, man. He tied the Rumble Ponies record for most stolen bases in a game. And that brings his season total up to 14. Name me a catcher that has 14 stolen bases. I mean, this is another guy that, I don't know, maybe you might not lose anything by bringing him up later in the year. We'll see what happens. And speaking of catchers that we might have given up on a little too early, Kevin Pareda off to a really hot start in AAA. Syracuse, 7 for 17, 412 average, 979 OPS. He's gotten a hit in each of his first 5 games with Syracuse. He had a very late start due to injury, but Kevin Pareda is off to a pretty hot start. And that is your minor league report. Shout out to anybody who wants to sponsor it. All right, we're looking because we got a lot of guys on PTO. We need to not pay some of these dues, but it is what it is, But shout out to everyone. Let's go Knicks. I am willing to give my pinky. I don't know how many of y'all are ready to give your pinky finger
You can have mine.
Mitch Robinson. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready. Let's go. Throw your pinkies up. You know what I mean? And let's go Knicks. Looks like we're gonna have a 7-game series. Right now the Spurs are up by 24. It's in the 4th quarter. Under 11 minutes to go. So we'll see what happens. But unless you have Jalen Brunson, 22-point leads in the 4th that are safe, but Jalen Brunson, you know what I mean? But
bro, I don't know if you've seen this Swift. San Antonio, they've been roughing up they've been roughing them up today, man.
Yeah, man.
Good.
Making them earn it. There's a couple highlights I was scrolling Twitter seeing, so that was good to see.
They sent the extender, Scott Foster, in there. So you knew Game 7 was already. NBA called it in. It said, Scott, we need a Game 7. Good for them. But
they need to make up for that ad money because the Knicks, the last 2 series, the Knicks are just going through these teams. So they need the revenue for the ads. So
I did want to bring something up before we wrap up here. My bad, guys. It was very important. It came out about an hour ago. John Heyman reported. I don't know if anybody peeped it, but news on Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes gets good news on fractured fibula. No surgery needed, but he may not be back before trade.
That's kind of big. He could
I'll
opt
take
out
it.
this year and try and get a big contract. That's kind of big, but we'll see what happens with him. Would y'all trade him? Like real quick, just
Nope.
yes or no?
No, no.
Trade deadline,
Wouldn't.
even though he might
Nah.
opt out. Okay.
I mean, I don't think he's gonna be back to like. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
August. I'm gonna say I don't see him back to like August. So they're talking about he might not be back before the trade. I never thought he was going to be back before the trade deadline. So
Maybe because of his injury, he opts in just to because again, I think he was on the verge of making some good money. So maybe maybe he opts in just to prove himself one more year and give it a go. But unless he comes back and finishes strong, I could definitely see him opting out. But something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Good stuff,
so,
boys.
Yeah, man. So I want to say one thing before we head out of here. So I just wanted to highlight Sober to Shay's comment. He said, I would want a lockout considering what we've seen in Queens this season. I thought that was hilarious, man.
Yo,
But
shout out
listen,
to
man,
Sober to
this
Shay,
was a
man.
great conversation. We appreciate everybody who joined in, and I appreciate everybody in the comments. Thank you, everybody, man. We appreciate y'all, man. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, and send it to your friends. And if I know the Mets aren't the best thing right now, but you got to keep having faith in your team, right? Again, thank you guys. We'll be here next week, man. As we always say, it's always Queens baseball. Let's go, Knicks.
I really think